Hey, this is Sasha. Thanks for joining me in today's video. And what I want to share with you today is a simple formula for becoming rich or maybe a little more wealthy in your life. So stay tuned. I'm going to share with you this simple concept. All right, so if you're looking to create a little more wealth in your life, there's a couple of things you need to understand, and it's not so difficult to understand. It's in fact very simple. It's simple to understand, but it's difficult to do on the surface. So let me go ahead and share this with you, but before we do, don't forget to check out MyLittleNestEgg.com. That's where we have a lot of getting started guides and freebies that you can download. All right, so thank you so much for joining me here on the Glassboard. What I want to do is share with you that everything starts with earnings. And then what we do from the earnings is we start moving money around. Now, here's what happens. We go ahead as humans. Here's where things get interesting. This is our savings now. And from our savings, we can go ahead and create another cup. And now we go ahead and this is our investments. Okay, so you could do a few things with your money. Everything kind of funnels and flows. Think of this as kind of your water bucket. And all this is your money that it goes in here as a reservoir and it starts moving into this area. Now you could go ahead and go into this zone, which is a positive zone, or you could go ahead and spend your money. So if you go into the spending zone here, you've got another kind of cup or item here, and this starts to fill up. So for some people, you have the spending cups that start to fill up. And sometimes you could go ahead and, hey, let me go ahead and now that cup gets full because I've spent a bunch of money. And this cup continues to, the next cup goes and gets full. So if you really want to be successful and wealthy, create wealth in your life and become rich, what do you do? Well, it all starts with earnings. The more money you can earn, obviously, the better you're off at a starting point. Now, as you have more money coming in, that income, you can translate it into savings. And from savings, you want to convert it into investments. Why? With investments, what happens is your money converts and creates more money for you. So think of this as like passive investments, like a dividend stock. Maybe you go ahead and put your money into, let's say you buy a house and 5 years later down the road you sell it and you made 5 or 10% on your money, or maybe more, depending on how good of a purchase it was. So what happens is these are a little bit more hands-off investments, and that's what you're looking for. Is when you make money from money, this is the power right here. This is kind of the golden ticket. This is where eventually you want to get to. And what you want to do is go ahead and, you might have here your emergency fund. You might have, other things that generate a very safe return on your investments in your savings. So this is like your bank, and those kinds of things, and you have some assets. But eventually what you really want to do is go ahead and create more investment buckets. So you don't just go ahead and fill up one investment bucket, you go ahead and create more investment buckets. So you might have, one might be stocks, one might be real estate, another could be, let's just say, coins or something else, rare items or rare objects. Now, if you're doing just stock investments, what you could do is just go ahead and just diversify it amongst different stocks. So now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 different stocks. So you could go ahead and do that to go ahead and split your assets, but you're slowly starting to grow and grow and grow your investments in different areas and different sectors. And these things continue to generate money more or less when you sleep, or very little attention. So even though with stock investments, we do a lot of that in my other channel, my Traders Fly channel, which you could take a look at. But what happens is it's much more hands-off than maybe the earnings. So in earnings, what you do is you go ahead and you have to work much more. You have to either exchange maybe time for money. Maybe you're a business owner. So you still have to go ahead and put the energy and effort into it. And here, as you continue up the ladder, maybe you're now, you're not an employee, but you're an employer. So you become the business owner. And eventually, as that income continues to grow, now you might become an investor where you're not even the business owner, you're just an investor. And if you can invest enough money then that money can generate much more money for you. If you have enough, you could actually live just from your investments passively. So that's how you really start to ramp things up, but it all starts from earnings, unless of course you were fortunate enough that somebody, hey, just gave you, let's say $1 million, and now you could just go ahead, put it into investments, and those investments go ahead and generate you more money and more income, and you don't really have to work or own a business or put any effort into it. So all you have to worry about is investing, and then how do I spend my investments? But for most people, they're going to start out here. You're going to go ahead, get some earnings. You'll want to put it into savings and then go ahead and move it into the investment sector as fast as possible. This way your money can do work for you. In your savings, it's very stagnant. There's not much return. You'll just slowly kind of grow it a little bit at a time. It's just kind of your cushion money, or maybe money that you go ahead and spend, and then it just reduces. So anytime you grow this bucket on the earnings and grow it then on the investments, that's really what you're looking for. If you're starting to spend money, what's happening is you're creating, if you're a big spender, you're creating like a little hole here in your bucket. Maybe you're creating a bigger hole, and now it's kind of leaking water drops, and it's losing that amount of flow in your earnings. So that's what spending really does, and it means you have less money to put into savings or investments. And that's kind of the simple formula. You don't have to make it too complicated, but this is where wealth really shines. Unfortunately, the downside is not everybody can earn, let's say, if you were earning $200,000 a year, that could be a really good income that you could go ahead and ramp up into savings and investments. Unfortunately, let's say you're paying $100,000 a year on rent, well, all of a sudden, this could, the spending increases. So the more that you can earn, if you're only doing $10,000 a year in salary, that's not really a lot of money that you can now go into savings, because you got to eat, you got to pay for electric, all that kind of stuff, unless you're living in your car. And even then, $10,000 a year these days is not a lot of money. But as you start ramping things up, maybe you're part of a big company, you're making $500,000 a year, you can go ahead and ramp those things up to savings, even investing. That's really where things start to shine. But that's the simple formula to it. No matter where you're at on your income scale, hey, that's difficult to control. And yeah, you could do side gigs. You could go ahead and spend less, and that way it trickles a little less from here. But bumping up your earnings will help, but move that as quick as possible into investments, because savings is going to be stagnant for you. And if you can do that, then hey, more power to you. You should be able to continue to generate wealth in your life and eventually become rich if you have enough income flow and you've done well with your investments. So there's no magic formula. That's as simple as it gets. You don't have to overcomplicate it, and continue to follow the process and you'll be good. All right, so thank you so much for joining me in this video. Hope you found it helpful, gave you some things to think about, maybe just looking at things in a simple way. You don't have to complicate it. And if you like this video, be sure to check out some of the great freebies I have on the website. Just click the link right over here. There's some great PDFs, mini video course series, and much more. And if you're brand new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well. Thanks again, and I will see you next time.